Hello everyone, welcome to the channel Melody Llama, and today we have yet another Street Fighter character discussion video, and today we'll be discussing one of the most iconic characters in the franchise, and that is Vega. Now, when I think about most popular Street Fighter character designs, the four that come to mind, I think, are Ryu, Chun-Li, Blanca, and Vega. I feel like those are the designs that stick with people the longest, especially if you grew up with the old Street Fighter arcade games. Blanca and Vega's designs are very striking. I'm already going to start this with a spoiler and tell you guys that Vega is one of my favorite characters in the franchise. Going with his design, it's great. Of course it's great. The purple snake tattoo that he has across his chest is awesome. The mask is iconic. The claw is iconic. The fact that the claw flies out of his hand is also iconic. Everything about this design is iconic. In Street Fighter V, it's kind of the same. They do a slight variation, giving him that white shirt. It's a V-neck that goes all the way down to practically his crotch at that point. Don't even wear it. But it's alright. Of course, I prefer the full-on shirtless Vega instead of the weird super V-neck he wears. Now, real quick, I will say this. If you guys are fans of Vega, check out the Vega fan film El Matador. It is a great watch. It displays his backstory perfectly. And we're actually going to talk about one of the most important things in that short film, which is him arriving to the death of his mother. So, of course, Vega does arrive to the death of his mother, killed by his father. The reason this is important is because it pretty much sets in stone what Vega's personality and what his philosophy is going to be. Vega always believed that his father was kind of ugly and that his mom was like beautiful and all that, so he ends up valuing beauty a lot, and he's like disgusted that his abusive, terrible father could have done that. Now, I think what actually makes Vega very interesting is the fact that there's kind of two sides to him. There's like this honorable fighter, and then there's this basically psychopath. The honorable fighter is not like heroic by any means. He's still a villain, but he like respects the challenge, he respects the talents of others. But as soon as he starts fighting someone that's very beautiful and is struggling and all that, he starts to become psychotic. He does that like iconic laugh. So yeah, he changes a lot, and I think that's very interesting for his character because it means that in story he can do anything that he really wants to. In Street Fighter V, he ends up saving Cammy and Yuri, which I find very interesting. One of the most important relationships that he has is with Cammy and, by extension, the dolls. The dolls are creations of M. Bison, and they're basically meant to, I don't know, be like blind soldiers versus Cammy, which is meant to be a replacement for his body. But Vega's pretty much in charge of these things and has beat the shit out of so many dolls at this point and has fought Cammy so many times at this point. But that's another cool thing. It makes sense that Vega's part of the project considering they're all like beautiful female creations. I would not be surprised in the least if this thirsty bastard signed up for the mission himself. Now, speaking of him being a horny bastard, it takes us to the fight against Chun-Li. This iconic fight. Everyone has watched this fight. It has so many views. I wonder why. Vega goes into her home and fights her while, I believe she's coming out of the shower. I don't remember exactly. But first of all, this fight is genuinely really well choreographed. Like, you know, we know why it's one of the most watched fights in the world, but it is genuinely a great fight. Vega in this fight just has so much aura. Like the scene where he's like dodges the kick and then rises up like a zombie and stares at her. It's just really cool. This is definitely one of the best examples of the psychopathic side of Vega. As far as his relationship goes with the rest of the Shadowloo members, there isn't all that much there. Like with M. Bison, there isn't a lot of context of like what the relationship is like. And Fong, he just kind of views him as annoying, which everyone does. The only one that has an actual like thing to talk about is Balrog, because they are complete opposites, yet they're also comrades. I think their bond, or lack thereof, is really cool as well. I am a huge fan of both characters, and seeing them bounce off of each other, where Balrog is this like, you know, get in your face, brutish man. He's a big dude. He's grungy almost, versus and he's arrogant and shit like that, ignorant almost. while Vega is like this royal kind of, he views himself very highly, and seeing someone like Balrog, who was a boxer, who was poor at one point, he definitely looks down on him. Which brings us to his role in Street Fighter V, which is a weird one. He's still operating under the vigilance of the dolls, but he also seems to have some vested interest in Cammy and Yuri, even when they're not part of Shadow. In the final battle, he gets to fight Cammy, but he pretty much disappears from there and actually ends up saving her earlier in the story. Now, with him not really being in Street Fighter 6 yet, we won't have the context of what Vega's goals are now that Shadowloo's quote-unquote dead, even though M. Bison's back, but it doesn't look like Shadowloo itself is at 100% or what it once was, so we'll see what Vega is looking to do next. Another interesting relationship that I think Vega has is the one with Seth. Seth is an artificial creation. He's very powerful, but Vega pretty much views him as disgusting as well, since Seth can kind of copy everyone and look really weird. I don't blame him, he's freaky as shit. I imagine if Seth was real, he would give some real Uncanny Valley vibes, so I could definitely see why Vega would not rock with him. As far as where Vega stands in terms of like the strength barometer, he's decently strong. He's not one of the top tier characters, he's not beating a Ryu or an M. Bison or even a Yuri. And even Cammy's very arguable. I would say not. But I do think he's a tier under that. He definitely fights Ken very well, and I would put Ken up there with Cammy. He's definitely in that tier, I would say, with Chun-Li, under Cammy and Ken. Which, to be fair, is not bad at all. Would I put him in the top 10 strongest SF characters? I don't think so. There's a lot of people on top, like an Oro and a Gil and a Gen, and then Ryu on top of that, and a Bison. So, maybe top 15, maybe top 20. He's definitely no slouch. But regardless of where he's at on the tier list, he is still one of the most iconic and best characters in the franchise. We need this guy in Street Fighter 6. I know we got two SNK characters, and that was fine, but I could have done with one of them out and putting Vega in the game, but it is what it is. Hopefully we see Vega soon, and we get some more context on what his goals are moving forward. Anyways, guys, that's all for Vega, one of the best characters in Street Fighter. What do you guys think of the Vega character, and do you guys want to see him in Street Fighter 6? Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, the usual stuff that I tell you to do. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'm out. Bye.